You, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the media present, and colleagues, I want to say Murahoneza. Good morning to you. It's a privilege to have you all in this room, and again, another privilege to have our invitees present in this room to share their reflections, and for the media who accepted our invitation. So we have here on front Major General Clayton Yache, Brigadier General El Haji Babakar Faye, Brigadier General Martin Ousu. We also have Major Retired Peter Sosi, and Warrant Officer 2 Lucas Novinoho, and Warrant Officer 1 Samson Ajare. So thank you very much for being here. We're going to start our press conference, and it's been a privilege to work with you. And during these 7 days, I know that you've have great experience as you went through different experiences, visiting different sites around the country. So during this time, we're going to hear your impressions, we're going to hear your reflections, and for us, it's a great opportunity for the media also to learn from you. It's been a wonderful experience, I believe, of reflection, of learning, of reuniting with the survivors, and I'm glad that you've got this opportunity to experience that. So allow me to welcome Major General Clayton Yache for his statement before we welcome the rest of the media to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Good morning again, everybody. We are glad to be here. He's already indicated why we are here. And I want to make a statement which is on paper so that I don't leave any essential point out. I think it will set the stage for our discussions this morning. I could have just said it off my head. Maybe I'll miss some essential points. So I read my statement. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished hosts, members of the media present, and colleagues. Morahu. On behalf of my fellow veterans, keepers from Ghana and Senegal, I deeply am humbled at the conclusion of this extraordinary 7-day journey. A journey that has been both a commemoration of the past and an education for the future. We began our visit here to your beautiful country, and specifically to Kigali, by first visiting the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where we paid our respects to the more than 250,000 victims laid to rest at the place. And we walked through the exhibits, and it gave us a wider understanding of the scale of the genocide of 1994 against the Tutsi, and far beyond the limited perspective some of us carried as peacekeepers stationed mostly in Kigali at the time. The memorial reminded us not only of Rwanda's immense pain, but also with its courage and resilience. At Rebero Genocide Memorial, we honored the politicians killed for refusing to bow to genocide ideology, including Hutu moderates and especially Madame Agathe, that's the Prime Minister at the time, who was killed in the early days of the genocide. There we were reminded that true leadership is often measured by the courage to stand firm even when it costs everything. At Nyamata Church, we bore witness to the sacred grounds where, together with the Interama Church, tens of thousands of innocent lives were massacred in a single day. The site reinforced us to confront not only the magnitude of the hatred, but also reinforce our duty to ensure that never again, I repeat, never again is not just a phrase, but a living commitment. At Ito, Kichukiro, and Nyanza, we were confronted with the painful memories of abandonment, where thousands of Tutsis were left behind when peacekeepers withdrew. These places weighed heavily on us, reminding us of the consequences of indifference and failed protection. At Bugesera, we saw something equally powerful, that is reconciliation. Survivors and perpetrators living side by side, and this was a very profound lesson to humanity and the ability to rebuild, forgive, and to live again together after unspeakable tragedy. At the Isoko Center for Humanity, and that is the home of a projected center, the Center of Humanity, Isoko, we were again inspired from listening and witnessing the great vision built on foundations of ages trust and the Kigali Genocide Memorials, 2 decades of peace building, and how Rwanda lessons are now being exported to the world, addressing not only violence, but also the global challenges of our time. At Mount Rebero, later at the National Liberation Museum Park, we learned about the courage and vision brought Rwanda's liberation from battlegrounds to symbols of memory. These sites spoke to us about leadership, sacrifice, and determination, what it can achieve in the force of despair. And perhaps most moving of all, at Hotel the Mille Collines, we reunited with survivors, whom some of us, in our limited capacities, helped to rescue 71 years ago. It was a deeply meaningful moment of remembrance and gratitude. Throughout this journey, we also had the privilege of engaging with hundreds of Rwandans and the youth for conversations on courage, responsibility, and humanity. We shared a message that true greatness is found not in comfort, but in the risks we take for others. To stand where others are silent, defend those left vulnerable, and we are grateful for the opportunity and hope that our experience will light a fire in the youth to carry forward the lessons humanity survives when we choose each other over indifference. Ladies and gentlemen, this visit has been transformative for us, I must say. We are leaving Rwanda with a renewed hearts, with wider perspectives and deeper sense of responsibility. The Rwanda we left in 1994-95 is not the Rwanda we see today. What we see now is a nation reborn, renewed, reconciled, and full of hope. We are amazed by this progress, and we wish the country well as it continues to grow. We are profoundly grateful. First, to the Isoko Center for Humanity and the Aegis Trusts for organizing and hosting us. Second, to the government of Rwanda, particularly the Minister of Defense, and Mbumwe, for your support and hospitality. I hope I got that word correct. It's difficult as somebody not a Rwandan. And lastly, and to the Rwandan people for welcoming us with warmth and allowing us to share in the sacred journey of memory. We pledge that we will not keep these lessons to ourselves. We will carry Rwanda's story wide with us across Africa and the world. And we will share the memories of these testimonies and the lessons of courage, humanity, so that they inspire the future, free from genocide, related atrocities and crimes. As we prepare to depart, I leave you with this promise. Rwanda's story will remain with us, and we'll do all our part to honor it by influencing a world where peacekeeping works. And with God's will, we hope to return to this land of resilience, courage, and rebirth. And thank you, Amarakoze Nyandi.
Chane. Yes.
I'm Adam Squizera. I work for RBA. So here I have two questions to you. So you've been here for this past 7 days. During your visit, you met with survivors you once rescued. You listened to their painful memories. And also you witnessed their resilience as you highlighted. How did it feel for you personally to embrace them again after 31 years? And what does their courage mean to you? So the second question goes to peacekeeping mission in general. You're going back to your respective countries, and as former peacekeepers, you also have an influence to global arena in peacekeeping. What message do you have for today's peacekeeping missions in Africa? As of now, we are witnessing some of them. those peacekeeping missions collaborating with some countries in atrocities against their own citizens. Here I give the example of MONUSCO in DRC. So what message to these peacekeeping missions here around in Africa, particularly in this region? Thank you.
My name is Vincent Gasana. I work with KT Press. It's a great honor to have you here. And I think there are a million questions, but you'll be glad to know I'm going to restrict myself to two. I'm sure that I speak for colleagues here that if you've been here for months, we'll still have loads of questions and they wouldn't be complete. Let me just really ask about, 30 years ago, I don't know how many of you have been here before now. 30 years ago, a lot of militaries from the UN as a whole, the French in particular, and others behaved in a way that, I would say, shame their uniforms. We hear a great deal. The French keep going on about the honor of France, but that was pretty much depraved here. You stood out of the exceptions in all of this. And sometimes we tend to forget that while you're here in 1994, things were coming at you very, very quickly. You didn't have a broad picture. So I'd really like to try and get you to explain to us what it felt like at the time to be able to make the right decisions when such a momentous occasion came. Soldiers obey orders, but there are certain orders which it is their duty not to obey. You managed to do that. Others did not. I want to understand what it is that enabled you to do that at the time and what it felt like as things were happening very, very quickly. And also the second question I'd like to put is a fairly specific one. We know that the people that survived at the Hotel de Mille Collines were mainly due to your efforts. Those of you in the military who stayed within the UN. So far, we have had 30 years of perverting that story. There is the Paul Rusesabagina story. The irony is that he was one of the people that made your job difficult to try and save people. But now the world insists that he is some kind of hero. So I don't know whether you know about that story. I don't know whether you follow that story. But the truth of what you did there made sure that those people survived in spite of him, not because of him. So I wonder what you tell us about that. Mostly, I ask that because it's part of the way that the story in Rwanda is being consistently perverted by an awful lot of people. There are people for whom it is in their interest to make sure the truth of the story doesn't come out. Thank you very much indeed. I hope that's not too much.
And the questions are not strictly directed at me, but for the whole panel. So any one of you who feels like it, feel free, even to start before I start. But nevertheless, I'll open the floor with the first two questions. The first question, if I got it right, was it had to do with the survivors. That for a very long time we've come and we've seen as what do we think the impressions of the survivors are towards our service in Rwanda. I don't know whether that's the question. We came many years ago. Somebody asked whether we have since come back, since 1994. Me as a person, no. Others have been back here, but as a person, no. And it was a very moving experience to come and meet these survivors. The situation moved very, very fast. It was very fluid during the start, at least from 6th April until maybe towards the end of July, and then the end of the genocide. And indeed, I would say we, the peacekeepers, we did our best to make sure that we saved lives. But I think we have to put it in the context of our numbers at the time. Because when the genocide started, even before, the authorized strength of the force was about 2,500 to maintain and keep and guide peace whilst the negotiations and the agreement was being implemented. Then suddenly this incident took place, and it took, well, a lot of effort to try and control the situation. So UNAMIR did its best, and those in Kigali, especially the military observers, they saved a lot of lives. So coming back here to listen to people who genuinely gave good testimonies, none of them said they were abandoned. But he said when it was possible, we helped them out of their situation. And a lot of them, they have survived, and they have businesses, and they are striving in life, and they have hope. So I think the impression from me, and I think I can speak for the entire team, that it has been a wonderful experience, and we are grateful that we did something good for them. The second question was about peacekeeping in Africa and our experience and whatnot, what we can do to help peacekeepers to spread peacekeeping, the ideology, the philosophy of peacekeeping in Africa. I think we all know that currently there are a lot of conflict areas in Africa. We have in Congo DRC, we have in South Sudan, we have Sudan itself, and other even countries around the world. And peacekeeping is developing very fast. It is dynamic, and every time people have to learn to move with time and to move with the philosophy of people who want to govern their countries. In those days, peacekeeping was first agreement will be decided and agreed on, and peacekeepers simply went in just to make sure that the warring factions, the parties in conflict are in agreement and they are obedient to the tenets of the agreements. So it was a simpler form of keeping peace. Now it is not. And you can have agreements when you go in, things change. And then you have to change your modus operandi to conform with what is happening. And that is why the concept of peacekeeping has changed. Normally, instead of keeping peace, now you go to enforce peace. That's the general trend in the world. And enforcement means robustness. You are well equipped, you are well armed, and you are well prepared psychologically. And even the troop contributing countries are prepared to risk the lives of their citizens, instead of just saying, we are sending you there and we hope that you all come back wholesale. So in essence, the dynamics of peacekeeping have changed, And for my advice, Africa must understand the dynamics of the world and respond to it when they are negotiating and talking about peacekeeping and peace enforcement. In the Neil Collins incident, we have talked much about what happened. The survivors who sought refuge in Neil Collins. And when it happened, there was a period when it was obvious that those who were living there, their lives were in jeopardy. And if nothing was done, it was going to be another phase of the massacre that took place, not only in Kigali and other places, but in the very eyes of UNAMIR. So something had to be done, and UNAMIR did something. We arranged to try and evacuate them to places of safety. And that was a very big task to perform. And we held meetings with the warring factions, and it appeared that everything was okay for us to start the exercise. We started, made every arrangement, arranged vehicles to transport those who were there to a place of safety. But how wrong we were. Started run into roadblocks. At the end of the day, it was abortive because we couldn't just make it, and we had to return those survivors back to the hotel. But God being so good, we re-strategized and planned better. At the end of it, we evacuated as many people as possible. I will say all out of their hotel. And not only the hotel, we evacuated a lot of people from both parties, Tutsi and Hutu, into places of safety. So it is a good feeling that we are here and we are listening to good stories about those who survived. There are other questions that I haven't touched, and I will leave the floor to my colleagues to carry on. Thank you very much. I haven't watched the film, but I've heard many times, and to the effect that an individual was mainly responsible for rescuing people from the hotel. And the propaganda, I would call it, went far and near. And I would say that that attitude and that statement is a fallacy. It's ingenious, and it is very, very helpful. And it's not the truth. The truth is we had a shelter in the hotel. That's the truth. The truth is we had UNAMIR troops also stationed in the hotel. That's the truth. And we had protection for the people who were there. It wasn't the management that provided protection. It was UNAMIR. And the movement, the planning, the meetings, and everything were done by the UN force, not an individual. So if an individual goes round to claim credit for what happened, I think it's unfortunate, to say the least. It is UNAMIR. He had a part to play, and the part I know he played was shelter for those who were there. And I think this is the answer I can give. My colleagues can also add something to to it, so that we disprove this film that and this propaganda that has gone around, that somebody is claiming credit for what happened during the evacuation.
I'm very happy to be here as part of this visit. I would like to touch on the reason why some of us stayed, or what motivated us to stay. In actual sense, I was on the list of those who were supposed to be repatriated or reduced as part of the force that was supposed to be reduced. But I think I had a moral obligation to stay, and also from my training and my background, being the way I was brought up, I felt like there was no way I was going to leave, especially seeing the atrocities and the fear and the need that was at stake. First of all, we've been trained to go wherever we are sent, by land, by air, by sea, and perform our duties even to the peril of our lives. So that was one cardinal point. And then two, the empathy that was passed on. I think we all have empathy, but it depends on the level of it. Passed on by my parents, and then the fact that we have to help when there's a need. I felt when I went back to Ghana, I didn't know what to go and explain to especially my parents, that I couldn't stay, or there was no way that I could help. And the other thing is that staying was something that kind of motivated me, so that at the end of the day, I will kind of feel that I've accomplished something. That is one. And if I would touch on the Hotel Rwanda movie, I was on a course in Ireland, and they were using Hotel Rwanda as part of their teaching material. So I told the instructor that that movie was wrong, because even though there were parts that I didn't know about, but some parts I knew that it didn't happen that way. So I felt it was like a Hollywood, padded movie. So that was my comment to him. And thereafter, some of the things that were coming out, I told them of my experience and some of the portions that were not right. So that's what I will add to that. Thank you very much.
If I may just add something to what he said, he's right. Those were the factors that motivated him to stay. But it also had a national dimension to our staying in the Rwanda. And the dimension was that we were sent here to come and assist the country to achieve peace. Then at the critical moment, the UN decided that we should all go. And we felt that it was wrong, it was immoral, and it would amount to betrayal of the people of Rwanda. So the elements in the Kigali made a very strong case to our government to say we cannot abandon the people. And if we did, and peace came back, none of us will have the moral courage even to come back to Rwanda. So we made a strong case, and fortunately for us, our government approved that we should stay. And even the numbers, the quantum of troops we had to stay, it was a question of UNAMIR negotiating strongly with the UN to get the few people who stayed. And of course, other countries stayed. It wasn't only Ghanaians. Senegalese stayed. They played a very, very important part in the whole thing. So ours was bent on credibility, morality, and support for our fellow Africans, that we shouldn't abandon them in the hour of their greatest need. So that's what I want to add to that question.
Brigadier General Alhaji, you wanted to say something? Okay. Good.
I'm happy to be here. And I just want to add something small to what the General had just said. As a way of coming out with the truth as to how some people had to go and some people had to stay. I was the second in command of the battalion that was here. When on the 6th, when the aircraft was downed, I was in Kigali here because I had been asked to bring a company plus to support the Belgian contingent that was here. The reason was that the Belgian contingent at some stage, just even before the genocide started, felt threatened, and their government felt that they should be evacuated. So they were going to do that in phases, and through that, some of their positions will be abandoned. So when we came, we first deployed at Byumba. The contingent was about 800 strong elements. So at the time that the situation became unbearable, and UN decided that we should all leave. General Anyidoho, who happened to be a Ghanaian, and the deputy force commander felt that it was morally wrong for Ghanaian being part of Africans should not leave. But then we are talking about numbers here. As I said, we were 800 plus here. And we felt that with the complexity of the problem that we were all witnessing, it was going to be very suicidal to keep all the 800 people here. Okay, so a decision came that we should comply with the UN decision to size down. So 2/3 of the battalion had to leave. So I will say that it was not a question, because we came under orders. It was not a question of who want to stay, who not want to stay. It was a question of getting people who were ready, who were courageous, who were competent to leave, to stay here, to handle the situation. So that was how come 600 people had to leave. They did not leave just because they wanted to leave. They left because they were ordered also to leave, as normal military, structure goes. So that's what I want to add to this.
I would like to make some point that can help understand what happened. The UN structure is made of military observers and contingent troop contributing countries. That contributing troop, we have some battalion deployed. The role of the MILOPS, military observers, in fact, they are all officers from the rank of captain and above. And then when you look at these people, they have already run company commanders at home. So they are selected on the criteria of able to make an analysis and an evaluation. So these people are one who sent on the field to appreciate what is happening and to make recommendation to the headquarters. We can do this. This is what happened. This is why we felt it, and this is what you know. And then these people, as they are not armed, when they go on the field, they get escorted by the contingent. When they are deployed on the field, they get hosted by the contingent because this is the one ensuring the whole security of the mission. So when it comes for evaluating a situation or in case of crisis, you may see much more these military observers working under the protection of, we call it protection force, to protect them to be able to monitor and assess the situation going on. These people, when the crisis breaks through, UN was under Chapter 6 mandate. It means monitoring, ceasefire, and bringing the party along to get through peace. This is the core of the mandate. And then later, when UNAMIR was created, we thought that this thing was getting bad and bad. They added assistance. And then UNAMIR was supposed to assist the people and then to bring peace. Now, Chapter 6 did not allow UN forces to engage in combat. And this is a clear contract between UN and the troop contributing countries. Now, like Ghana, when the situation erupts, the contingent can make a statement, if we leave today, this is what could happen. And they get orders from their country to stay. And if what happened with them, it was all to their honor. But regarding the military observers, they were free individually to decide either they are staying or they can go. For this case, those who wanted to go to Nairobi was better hosted, they were living in hotel, they were better paid, and they got security. So it's just to value those who decided to stay. They were under threat, they were less paid, and then they were all the time putting their life in danger. And it's why in this group, recalling the group of Senegalese, because even from the beginning, we were the most important group of military observers. We came here by a contingent of 30 officers as military observers. We lost one by accident on the 30th of August while we were redeploying, and then we remained 29. Among the 29, 25 decided to stay. But when you decide to stay, it means that you are going to face all what is in, and then it was an individual responsibility to assess the situation along and to take action if you can, or to get help from the force on whoever, or at least to warn the force on what is happening to make sure that but it was whole UNAMIR, and this is what happened. I wanted to make sure that you understand what is the role between the military observers and the role between the contingent, and how we were working together all along.
Thank you very much.
If I may advise, I advise the media to keep your questions short and also few, one at a time.
Yes.
Because some of us are not younger. We are at this thing. So to put all in our mind, it may be a problem.
Yes.
We can get one or two, we answer, then we move forward.
Yes.
Instead of lumping so many questions together at a time. Thank you.
Bonjour, j'aimerais m'adresser au général Faye. En 1994, vous avez décidé de rester avec votre équipe et vous avez sauvé plus de des centaines de Tutsis. Ma question est comment ou bien pourquoi vous avez décidé de rester malgré les règles de la minoire qui étaient strictes, et puis comment avez-vous pu sauver ces Tutsis, votre motivation et tous les efforts malgré les dangers et les défis. Merci.
In terms of educating the world and also having the world remember the genocide against the Tutsi and the lessons learned, I think there's so much that we can do through education, civic engagement, which I believe is going on here in Rwanda especially. But around the world, I haven't seen it happen apart from commemoration of Kubuka in various countries. I live in the US, so I know they have, even in various colleges, they have Kubuka celebrated. But after the celebration, what happens? So I believe we can advocate for it to be added. Most of the time, I do presentations on Rwanda and emphasize on genocide against the Tutsi, and also kind of talk about the Gacaca, reconciliation and forgiveness and people living together. Because even people at church, sometimes it's difficult to forgive. So I do it at elementary schools, also at the colleges around where I live, and that is what I personally do. I also engage people wherever I can when the subject of Rwanda comes up. I try to tell them what it means and how we can live together, and especially what has Rwanda taught us about the fact that reconciliation is possible, forgiveness is possible, and building a community of a vibrant economy like this is also doable and achievable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Merci. Pour la question, je ne sais pas si on peut suspendre la réponse jusqu'après mes propos préliminaires. She asked me a question. I was saying that maybe I may postpone my answer and I may defer my answer after I took the floor to present myself and my preliminary vote. Merci beaucoup. I don't know, do you have translator or I should speak in English? Thank you very much. Voilà. Ben, merci beaucoup. J'ai peut-être quelques propos préliminaires avant de commencer. Je suis le général Elhadj Babacar Faye. J'étais ici en tant que observateur militaire en 1994 et j'avais le grade de capitaine. Je vous remercie pour avoir organisé cette conférence de presse à la fin de notre tour. Revenant au Rwanda 31 ans après, a fait remonter beaucoup d'événements à la surface. C'est vrai. En parlant de la MINUAR, il y a eu peut-être beaucoup de mauvaises choses qui se sont passées. Et ce souvenir reste, on ne peut pas l'effacer de l'histoire. Mais il y a eu aussi beaucoup de bonnes choses qui se sont passées, certainement, peut-être beaucoup plus à des niveaux individuels qu'à des niveaux de mission. Alors, nous sommes arrivés, nous avons visité le mémorial du génocide. Nous avons eu des interactions avec les jeunes. Nous avons visité Kuchikiro. Nous sommes passés à Nyanza et nous sommes passés à Nyamata. Là aussi, tout au long, il y a beaucoup de souvenirs qui sont arrivés et beaucoup de récits douloureux. Ensuite, nous sommes partis à Mulindi et nous sommes partis à Buyumba. Quand nous revenons sur tout ce qui a été vu et réentendu, nous avons quelques enseignements qu'il est important de relever. Le premier, c'était d'abord de rendre hommage à toutes les victimes du génocide, et tous ceux qui ont été victimes parallèles parce qu'ils ont été ici au mauvais moment. Le deuxième point, les leçons que nous devons tirer. Pourquoi les gens sont arrivés à ce niveau de déshumanisation où ils ont dépassé, en tant qu'être humain, ils ont dépassé même le niveau d'animalité pour que le génocide puisse avoir lieu à cette échelle. Troisièmement, nous avons vu depuis 31 ans comment la foi, la détermination, la résilience, mais surtout le leadership et l'encadrement de la population a pu permettre à tous ces jeunes, à toutes ces victimes, à tous ces gens qui étaient là seuls, sans aucune famille, parce que pour la plupart avaient perdu toute leur famille, à renaître de leurs cendres, à se remobiliser, à avoir le courage de repenser l'avenir et de commencer à retravailler pour faire du Rwanda ce qu'il est aujourd'hui, 31 ans après le génocide. Je disais à des gens, si on calcule le niveau de développement atteint par le Rwanda dans ces 31 ans, il dépasse tous les pays du monde. Il n'y a pas un pays qui a pu avoir ce niveau de développement en si peu de temps. Enfin, discuter avec les jeunes nous a permis de voir qu'un état d'esprit est là. Il y a la semence pour développer et aller de l'avant. Il faut arroser cette semence, mais l'arroser avec un discours d'espoir, un discours de détermination, un discours d'engagement vers l'avenir et voir tout ce qui a pu créer des génocides, éviter ce genre de discours et remobiliser les gens, la force de travail, la force des bras. La jeunesse est un avenir et faire en sorte que les gens se tournent ensemble vers quelque chose de concret. Il y a eu beaucoup de fractures qui ont fait que c'est très difficile de rétablir totalement la confiance, mais on peut mettre, le leadership est assez fort pour mettre des garde-fous pour que les gens puissent s'inquiéter dans ça et travailler pour qu'à chaque moment, qu'on puisse voir qui dévie et qui ne dévie pas. Alors, maintenant, dans cette attraction, on a dit avec les jeunes, nous avons rencontré des survivants. Et je leur ai dit, nous sommes tous des survivants. Parce qu'à un moment donné, nous partagions, nous tous, les mêmes risques en étant à Kigali ou en sortant de Kigali. Et sur ce chapitre, il est important de relever l'action positive de la MINUAR. Parce que ceux qui sont restés étaient membres de la MINUAR. Et ce qu'ils ont fait, ils ont fait au nom de la MINUAR. À un moment donné, la MINUAR, du fait de son mandat limitatif, ne pouvait pas donner certains ordres, mais encourager très bien les initiatives qui étaient prises sur le terrain par certains individuels pour ramener des gens, sauver des gens au travail dans ce sens. Et donc, c'est à ce titre qu'il faut reconnaître l'action de l'UNAMIR et dire effectivement, les gens ont bien travaillé. Et justement, en rappelant ces phénomènes, ces facteurs, il me plaît de replonger dans 1000 collines et de voir ce qui a été fait dans 1000 collines. Tous les efforts jusqu'au fait de pouvoir récupérer les gens qui étaient à 1000 collines et de les transférer à Kabuga. Avant cela, nous avons eu effectivement, et il est important de le souligner, vous tous le soulignez, nous avons eu l'action personnelle du capitaine Baïdiagne qui a engagé beaucoup de choses, mais il le faisait, comme je l'ai dit, en liaison avec l'état-major, disait tous, je suis en train de faire ça, je suis en train de faire ça, parce que même chaque fois qu'il sauvait des gens, il faisait le compte rendu au niveau de l'état-major pour le dire, voilà. Et c'est là où les gens ont suivi. Et comme j'ai dit, il n'avait pas reçu l'ordre d'aller sauver les femmes, les filles, des enfants de Agathe. C'était son initiative. Parce qu'il a vu quelque chose et il a pensé qu'il fallait le faire. Mais encore une fois, comme je vous l'ai dit, un observateur militaire, c'est quelqu'un qui a un niveau dans l'armée qui lui permet d'apprécier une situation, de l'évaluer, de prendre des mesures ou de suggérer des mesures. Et c'est dans ce cas que des gens évoluaient et parvenaient effectivement à prendre des initiatives et tout. Et aujourd'hui, et puis tous les jours, chaque fois, on ne cessera jamais de louer son action, de louer ce qu'il a fait, parce qu'effectivement, il l'a fait en tant que ce qu'on attendait d'un capitaine et ce qu'on attendait effectivement d'un capitaine qui a déjà servi. Et donc voilà ce que je voulais dire déjà. Maintenant, je voudrais, avant de conclure ce propos préliminaire, remercier du fond du cœur Isoko, Center for Humanity et Aegis Trust. Pourquoi il me plaît de souligner un peu ce binomage? Parce qu'à côté, nous avons la jeunesse, la fougue, l'espoir, l'engagement, travaillant aux côtés de l'expérience. Si vous associez les deux, et chaque fois que vous associerez les deux, le résultat ne peut être qu'exceptionnel, positif. Les jeunes tout seuls, il y a des risques de clash. Mais l'expérience a besoin de la fougue des jeunes pour aller de l'avant. Donc chaque fois que vous pourrez associer une personne mature à côté de vous dans ce que vous entreprenez et tout, ce sera toujours pour le bénéfice de votre action et vous allez réussir. Et donc voilà ce que je voulais dire pour vraiment. Nous avons eu un séjour très agréable, très bien organisé, qui nous a permis beaucoup d'interactions. Et aujourd'hui, vraiment au moment de conclure cette séance, nous partons avec le corps plein. Nous avons eu beaucoup de soulagement par rapport à ce que l'UNAMIR a fait, ce que nous-mêmes nous avons fait en tant qu'individuels. Et ça nous a permis aussi, nous avons eu beaucoup de soulagement en voyant que le peuple rwandais est encore debout et puis vraiment dans la foi, dans la détermination et tourné vers l'avenir. Voilà, merci.
If I may add a little to what she asked about education, I think peacekeepers should be encouraged to write books. They should write articles that is published, and that way it can become like an authority where people can look up to for reference. All right, thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Madame m'a demandé ce que nous avons fait. Effectivement, si vous prenez les observateurs militaires, chacun au moins a une histoire. Nous, notre histoire est particulière. Nous habitions à Kichikiro et nous avions des voisins. Mais vous savez, avant la minuar, quand on est venu ici, on était déjà dans le GOM, le groupe des observateurs militaires. Et donc on était ici depuis le mois de juillet. Ça nous a fait parvenir à encadrer et à rencontrer beaucoup de monde à travers le Rwanda. Mais ces relations, ça crée des sentiments et des liens. Et quand nous sommes venus ici, effectivement, même là où on habitait dans le quartier, on a montré aux gens qu'on n'était pas des étrangers. On était leurs parents à côté et on a tissé des relations. J'ai eu la maison d'à côté, un enfant qui était attaché à nous, on l'a récupéré. C'est grâce à cet enfant que sa famille a été sauvée. Parce que quand la crise a éclaté, effectivement, on a ouvert et on a récupéré toute la famille. Les voisins qui étaient à côté ont tapé le 7, on a ouvert la grille, ils sont venus dans la maison. Et vers midi, on avait 49 personnes chez nous. On a dit à la minuar nous a demandé de rejoindre à Mahoro, parce qu'en ce moment, on est en train de rappeler tous les officiers pour leur sécurité. On a rendu compte qu'on avait 49 personnes qui étaient dans notre maison et que c'était difficile, on ne pouvait pas le laisser parce que les interarmées étaient en train de rôder déjà autour. Et ils nous ont dit à un moment donné, attention, la mission ne peut pas garantir votre sécurité au-delà de 15 heures. On a eu un autre groupe de Sénégalais qui a pris des véhicules, venir nous récupérer à la maison à Kichikuru avec tous nos réfugiés. On a transporté, on a traversé effectivement des lignes très dangereuses pour arriver à Mahoro, mais Dieu merci, on a pu ramener tout le monde à Mahoro. Et après, il y a eu d'autres sauvetages individuels parce que, comme j'ai dit, on connaissait la ville et il y avait quelques téléphones qui continuaient à marcher. Et les gens que tu as fréquentés qui t'appellent dans le quartier, On a fait des sauvetages individuels où on est allé récupérer les gens et les ramener au stade. Quand on le faisait, on était dans le naturel. Vraiment, c'était pas, on ne pensait pas faire un acte d'héroïsme, on avait un acte d'humanité. On vivait avec des gens, on savait qu'on quitte, on les massacre. On ne peut pas garder ça dans notre conscience en tant que militaire. Donc nous, dans toutes les constitutions de nos armées, la protection de la population fait partie de nos missions. Et c'est ce qu'on a respecté, même en étant au Rwanda. Donc je pense qu'à ce niveau, quand ils agissaient, ils ne faisaient rien d'extraordinaire. Ils ont tout juste continué le rôle du militaire vis-à-vis du civil. Et c'est ce qu'on a appliqué aux Rwandais qui étaient à côté, qui ont eu la chance de tomber sur nous. Voilà, merci.
I just want to compliment the comment that the Major made on Madame Alice's question. If I got your question right, you were talking about or asking about the personal and national commitment to ensure that genocide is not repeated. Yeah, okay. First of all, let me start with we ourselves as Rwandans. You know, I'm an African, so I want to believe that we are. I think situations like this, first of all, we should try and heal the wound created within. And when that is done, it becomes evidence for anybody to carry across the globe. The second point I want to talk about is having seminars on conflicts and resolution of conflicts from maybe the secondary school level through to university and carry it across the globe. So I see what Madame Alice's Isoko's mission. I see how important and how relevant it is to this particular course that we have all we are all pursuing. So let us encourage ourselves coming out with all the brains that we have to conduct seminars, to conduct teaching and learning, and then practically let us see it amongst ourselves. Okay?
Thank you very much. Now, I would like to give you an opportunity to speak also. You've gone through the city, you've gone through the roots in this country during the genocide against the Tutsi. As I started saying, you have seen and you have felt something during that time. I wanted to hear from you, Lucas and Samson, taking us through briefly on what you experienced during that time, and for you coming back 31 years after and going through the same, probably most of them, the sites and where the roadblocks were, very key moment during your site visit. How do you feel? How did you feel that time, and how do you feel right now? If you can take us through that experience. The same to you, Samson. Maybe let's start with Lucas, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Lucas. As you have rightly mentioned, if as you start maybe from the time of the genocide, those days, those of us who really witnessed the incidents of just genocide, people thought we might go mad or something might happen to us because it looks like we were not ready for such circumstances, but it occurred and we have to witness it. I can say for sure that, in fact, the genocide was horrific, beyond description. When we talk about meeting a roadblock and you happen to be there, not yet crossed, and they're killing somebody in presence of you, not even with gun, was not a right thing to see. But we were not mandated to fight anybody who was fighting. In fact, there was a time somebody asked me that, Lucas, why is it that you from Ghana, we heard of you, you fought, the soldiers fought in Liberia, you fought in Sierra Leone, but why are you not fighting here? But I simply told those people those days that we were not mandated to fight, we were keeping peace here. What we are talking about those days, we were not working under the umbrella of UN. It was ECOMOG. And we were fighting to bring peace. There was no peace, but we were fighting to bring peace. But here, there was peace before we deployed. So there is a difference. And we were not mandated to fight. So we couldn't fight. Maybe the person may not understand me, but that's the simplest way I could have explained myself to him. Not to talk too much, I want to answer one question that been directed to us, that what motivated us, some of us, to stay on. I can say for sure that I was very lucky to work with one of the bravest generals of those days. That was General Henry Anyidoho, who used to say, and I quote, I, Henry Anyidoho, will not accept failure. Or I, Henry Anyidoho, will not associate myself with failure, unquote. So if I happen to work with such person who always encourages me that let's go, even when I see firing, they're firing at me, he will tell me they're not firing at you, let's go. And if that man is said, I'm not leaving this mission, who am I to leave? No, there's no way I can leave. Even if I should kneel down and beg him, sir, I want to go, I don't think I can go. So I did not inspire myself to stay on, but it is by the making of God through my commander, General Anyidoho, that made me stay. So to cut my everything short, I say thank you very much for giving me the floor. Thank you.
There's something I want to add on it. If you are a commander, as a general, then you take a bold decision that so far as people are leaving, then you say your troops, they won't go, they should stay. Count yourself that by all means, you'll get some wounded people, and some of them too will die because you have taken that decision. You lose some of your men at the same time, some of them too will injure. You are at airport, driving, conveying people, they come across the roadblock, stopping us. Our leaders will talk to them. At times they will accept, at times too, unless we retain. But we did all. But I didn't keep long here. Then I'm one of the wounded people, because that is soldier. They say 10 casualty is allowed. So I fall on that 10 casualty. So 10% casualty allowed. So I fall on that 10 casualty. So I was at the hospital. So through that year, I'm just they are taking care of me at the hospital. So I didn't see what happened again. Thank you.
My name is Mugisha Christian. I work for Igihe. I had a few questions, but I'm also glad that they have been answered. I can only ask one more. After retracing the history of the genocide against the Tutsi and seeing Rwanda today during your 7-day visit, what is the deepest lesson you are taking home, both as a former peacekeepers, as a human being, and about Rwanda's unity, healing, and resilience? Maybe it has been answered in French, but I'd also like to get a response in English. Thank you very much.
When we deployed in 1994, the country was not like this. And the whole situation was made worse when the genocide struck. After 31 years coming here and seeing what I'm seeing now, it's only a miracle that will explain how you came by this. From Byumba, where I was deployed, through to Kigali, I see enormous development to the extent that I wasn't able to even identify where I used to move from point A to point B. Particularly when I came to Kigali with my troops, and we got deployed at the Kabuga's facility along the Gaddafi crossroad up to the airport. I got so confused as to whether that was the area that I got deployed with my troops. So essentially, I will say that there has been a lot of development. If you compare it with other countries, I served in Liberia, I served in Sierra Leone, and I served even in Lebanon. But looking at the quantum of development, it is not comparable to any country that has gone through this. So I would say bravo that you've done so well.
My question is about the UN mandate. Mandate. When you said that you remained without the UN mandate, what does that mean in terms of the operations for by the forces, but also in terms of security for the forces? Because when we understand what the UN mandate is, then we'll understand pretty much the gravity of how you remained and what would have happened. That's my only question.
Thank you very much. In fact, I left Rwanda with a lot of questions when I was leaving. And then later on, I get the chance to be hired at the headquarters of UN Nation, where we were monitoring the deployment of all the peacekeeping mission, the military peacekeeping mission. And then one of my services used to be part of the drafting of the mandate. It's from where I understood maybe some of the position of UNAMIR. The mandate state clearly what the mission can do and what the mission cannot do. It said clearly, if it came to engagement, the rules of engagement. At one moment, you can engage in a combat. We have two types of mandate. Three. One is the chapter 6, where you have no rules of engagement. You can just retaliate. You are not even authorized to retaliate. You just cast answer to an aggression and limiting When they fire at you with a gun, you answer with a gun. But so doing, this is a principal mission of observing and bringing warring parties because they are already identified and they express the willing to go towards a peace process. And you are here to monitor the peace process. Monitoring the peace process is out of getting involved in a war because we are not supposed to be siding. If today we said, UNAMIR said, I'm going to protect these people and then get in fight with RGF at this moment, RGF could just say, leave the country because you are the government, legal government, you have to leave. So saying is what part of assistance mission because by saying we have been able to gather some people in safe haven, we have been able to discuss between the parties to move forward some files looking at maybe the CND, the security of the people that should be, and all these things have been monitored by the UNAMIR. Now the assistant is at level because when the mission is here and then under the chapter 6, and at one moment the mission felt that even they cannot protect. No longer, we have to change the mandate, but no longer with the mandate, they cannot protect the people, and even they cannot even protect themselves. The responsibility of the mission, as it is a contract between the mission and the troop contributing countries, is today I am removing my security paper because the party are not acknowledging our status as diplomatic status, and they can bring us to a firing and start killing peacekeepers, what is not our responsibility. And from that stage, effectively, the mission had to decide what to do, downsize and let to all the people that we cannot no longer protect the people, and you cannot even not protect the force, though we are keeping the minimum people that can say to run the mission. And these people who remained, and then we get, at this moment, a battalion to protect those remaining, and you had some military observers to go all around and to report what was seen at this moment. And then even during this period, we were escorting the humanitarian agencies, we were escorting the journalists to show to the world what is happening. We were escorting the personalities coming to get any influence on to stop what was going on. All this was monitored and done by UNAMIR. But it was part of the mission to assist, again, to bring people first. But there was assistance really to protect. We were not at this moment protecting. The protection came later, after the tragedy of Rwanda, that UN has held really some lesson learned and have raised what we call responsibility to protect as a principle of UN, and then from that point, all the mission are bearing the responsibility to protect those where they are deployed.
Lives. So we want to say thank you on behalf of all the organizers who made this journey possible. The Isoko, Aegis Trust, Minowumwe, and all agencies in the government of Rwanda. But also, most importantly, to the peacekeepers, we want to say thank you for being living witnesses of this history, and for your courage then, and for your courage now in speaking the truth for the future. So to the media and to everyone in the room, we would like to say that these stories will continue to inspire your action and safeguard memory and strengthen humanity. We want to say thank you for your time, and thank you for the great journey you've had in Rwanda, and for all the organizers. Thank you very much. This is the end. A round of applause for the peacekeepers, for you, and for myself who moderated this press conference. I think I did great.